Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm so excited. We have a great lineup of 6 new clients for spring 2021. And today we are going to go through them a little bit slower than we did at orientation. Full disclosure, we were told that we had 1 minute for orientation, so we didn't want to do like really getting into the nitty-gritty details, and that is what today is for. I can stop at the end of each project description if anybody has questions. You are also always welcome to ask questions in the chat, and our Vice President, Catherine, is going to be kind of watching that. And if anybody needs me to stop, just say stop. You can always speak up. So this is SUMANET Impact. Let me introduce myself. So I am Rose Turner. I am in my last semester of the SUMA program. Sad. I'm now the president of SUMANI. I started last fall. I was the project manager for a project at a zero waste grocery store called Precycle that's in Bushwick, Brooklyn. It was really, really great. And then the next semester, I wanted to be a part of the board. So I was a director of projects and I loved doing that. And then this past year, I was the vice president last semester in training for this role. And I'm really excited to share the 6 clients that I found for you guys last semester. I think they fit a lot of different topics. We've been really working on trying to find a balance between private sector and public sector, nonprofit and for-profit. So really excited about that. But right now I'm going to pass the mic off to Catherine and let her introduce herself.
Hello everyone, my name is Kat. I am in my 2nd semester at the SUMA program. Last semester, I participated in SUMANET Impact, and I was in the We Act group where we created a marketing plan and a longevity plan for their educational program. It was really fun, and we learned a lot, and I got to meet a lot of other people in the program as well as people in other schools. And it's also something you can add to your resume, and it's a great learning experience. So I highly recommend everyone to look at all the teams and pick something that really speaks to them. And we're all excited to see what you guys can come up with.
Thank you. So last semester, you guys might know Hannah Wolf. She's incredible. She was our director of operations. We've now kind of adjusted that position to be a director of finance. Based on, oh, can everybody mute, please? Maybe I can mute you. Okay. Okay, cool. So we kind of changed that position to a director of finance this year because it used to be a job where there was a lot of catering, a lot of room reservations, a lot of on-campus activities, and now because of the nature of Zoom, we have this budget, we don't really know what to do with it. For someone who has a little bit more of a finance background that can help us kind of change what we're doing with our budgets because it's totally different. And now I will introduce Elizabeth Wilson, who is our first director of projects. Let her introduce herself. And we're also looking for a couple more directors of projects. So if you're interested in that position, we're going to drop the application in the chat.
Hey everyone, thanks Rose. I'm Liz Wilson and I'm going to be one of the director of projects this semester. I'm in my final semester of the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program, and I was a project manager for Virimodo project in SUMANET Impact last semester, and it was a great experience. I learned loads, and it was great to meet people in different programs, especially the SUMA program, which I don't have that much overlap with in the rest of my courses. So it was a really great experience, and I learned lots, and I'm looking forward to getting to know some of you.
Great. So that's our board. I want to take a quick minute to share a little bit of our mission with you all. We have always been a pro bono sustainability consulting group, but about a year ago, we decided that we wanted to take a more values and mission-based approach to our client selection, our project selection, how we go about things. So not only do we want you guys to be really consultants, we also want you guys to be stewards, and really holistically look at the triple bottom line. So people, planet, profits, all three.
Ще седнем, да. Аз просто съм в един вебинар, който аз не трябва да съм там, но има просто една част, която е релевантна към мен и не искам да изпусна.
Okay, cool. So that is our mission. And these are kind of the goals that we set to make that mission a little bit more tangible. So one, we really want everyone to come out of here with an experience in consulting, something that you can put on your resume and say you have experience doing this. We want to pursue justice and equity in all of our SUMANI projects. So this to us means that we only take clients who have a demonstrated need for a pro bono service. We're not trying to work with people who could hire consultants at their own. We are trying to find leaders of these organizations who are diverse across a wide range of criteria. Something else we've thought about is that there's so many environmental justice organizations in New York City. So we want to make a net impact in our own geographic community and not just externally in some place that isn't our own backyard. Fourth, we want to make sure that our community is thriving and able to continue on. So we try to have opportunities with the Net Impact NYC chapter, other professional chapters, other chapters around different colleges and universities. We try to do this so that people can network and continue doing this kind of work in their professional life later on. So that's networking. And then the last thing is, yeah, just produce really good quality deliverables for our clients. So the experience that you will have if you get selected for a project team is you will be on a team with 4 to 6 people, and they will all have different skills. So our clients send us a list of the desired capabilities of each member of the team. So for example, we've done a lot of life cycle assessments. So they will ask us for a number of people with quantitative skills and a number of people with marketing skills who are able to market what was done and show it to investors, show it to consumers. There's a wide range of skills that are needed for every team. And that is definitely taken into consideration when we cast our teams. So each team has a project manager. That is something that you can select on your application to say if you would like to be considered for that role. It is a bit more work than the other positions, but you also get to put that on your resume that you were the project manager for a consulting project at Columbia University. This project manager communicates with the client, and they do this with the director of projects. So the director of projects is also communicating with the client, ensuring that the teams have all of the resources that they need, all of the examples of past projects, past deliverables, past work plans, making sure that they have all of the Zoom links that they need. There's a little bit of an extra logistic challenge there with actually getting people the links that they need to get to the meetings that they need to be at. So the project manager and the director of projects work pretty closely together to make sure that the board, the client, and the team are all on the same page. Now, something that we've tried to expand over the last year is this access to the vast Columbia and Net Impact network. Instead of just saying, you know, here's a project, go ahead, if you need help, hit me up. We try now to actively plan workshops, events, speakers in advance so that everybody is able to be aware of like the preliminary resources that are available to them. So for example, our previous president, Nicole, when she was a project manager about a year ago, she was working for a solar development project for disaster relief, but no one on the team was an engineer by training. And their director of projects was actually able to make an introduction with the engineering school and take them to the worker space where they were able to design their own prototype for this portable solar panel that is meant to start being dispatched in Puerto Rico this year. That's Soluminos with Cynthia. If anybody knows her, she's awesome. So that's a little bit about the team, the structure, the roles. And without further ado, here are our 6 clients that we have for this semester. I'll stop right there for a minute. Does anybody have any questions about anything that was just said in the last 10 minutes or so?
I just have a quick question. Just general time expectations. If you're just a team member or a project manager, I'm just curious, do you roughly know about how many hours a week we could expect?
Absolutely. So I would say that if you are on a team, there is an expectation that you'll spend about 2 to 4 hours a week doing your various tasks that the project manager has kind of allocated to you. I would say that the project manager, I would add like an additional hour to that for just the email correspondence, just the extra communication that is required of that role. I wouldn't say it's a terrible time commitment, but you could consider it similar to like a low end internship. Like low end meaning like low end time commitment. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So I am going to get into telling you guys a little bit about each project. So Clean Bushwick Initiative is a really great environmental justice organization in Bushwick, Brooklyn. In the fall, they were our Day of Giving Back organization that we paired with. We did a really fun event with them where we did a park cleanup in Bushwick, Maria Hernandez Park, and then we helped them construct rain gardens, which was my favorite part because I didn't really know anything about rain gardens. I got to learn a lot about just like the concretization of New York City and how that's really difficult with rising sea levels. Really cool event on our Instagram. We have some videos from that if you want to check it out. But what they are looking for from us is to up their marketing presence. So what that means is they're looking for a newsletter. They want to have a monthly newsletter in both English and Spanish. They want a research report to kind of help them with their marketing expansion. They want help with their website and their Instagram page. So something that's been really big over the past year in quarantine is having these Instagram accounts where it's like less pictures and more educational content. And they're trying to kind of move into that sphere where they have like a unique and useful content on their page that people can, their sustainability minded people can learn from. And something that they really want to do this accountability sticker campaign. So their big thing is cleaning up Bushwick, keeping it beautiful, sanitation. So they want to kind of reward these small businesses who really take care of their block on the street, their street area. So businesses that really take pride and clean up their part of the street, they want to give them some kind of sticker that is registered with Bushwick that says this is a business that really cares about sustainability and sanitation in Bushwick. So that's a little bit about them. Their goals is to just really increase awareness and build their following. And they also want to build this following with Spanish speakers in Bushwick. So they want to make sure that everything that we do is bilingual. So that's a little bit about Clean Bushwick Initiative. If anybody has any questions, you can shout them out or I will move on to the next one. Okay, cool. The next one is Closed Loop Partners. This is our finance project for the semester. Really, really cool project. What they do, they have about 45 portfolio companies that they invest in to basically impact investing to create a circular economy. That's their goal, is to have a circular economy in the United States, aligning capitalism with positive social and environmental impact. It's a venture fund. They invest across sectors of plastic and packaging, food and agriculture, fashion and beauty, supply chain logistics, and technology. But the main scope of this project is going to be about the circular home. So how do we create food, apparel, personal care and hygiene, and waste systems that are circular within the home, affordable within the home, something that is attainable for the American consumer. So what they are looking for as far as a deliverable, they want an investment strategy. So this can literally be like 2 to 3 sentences just saying, I think that you should invest in these 3 companies because they will help you with the sustainable home or the circular home. But they also need a qualitative study of consumer perceptions. So that's going to be interviews and surveys, a competitive market analysis, landscape analysis to see what actually makes sense, what is available, what companies are already designing products for this, a quantitative assessment of the environmental impact, social accessibility. So is this an equitable thing that we can do or something that only, wealthy people would be able to attain? And yeah, and the final deliverable would be kind of a marketing sales pitch. So it'd be a presentation. So that's a really cool project. I'm excited about that one. Does anybody have any questions about Closed Loop Partners? Cool. So the next one is Crowd Doing. This is a joint initiative between Reframe It and Match for Action. They try to expedite the development and growth of social innovations and social enterprises that lead to systemic change. So these people, they try to find creative solutions to problems in society that seem a little bit too complicated for our like political arrangements, things that like that make sense, that are common sense, but just like aren't happening because of all of the political stuff. So the project that they really want us to work on is better managing like risk associated with wildfires. So like actually like integrating that into like risk assessments for insurance and properties, all of that kind of stuff. So this is going to be a risk assessment modeling project. So there's four different models that you are going to be developing with this project about wildfire risk. So they are a hazard model that assesses, wildfire probability and intensity using environmental data. There's an exposure model that assesses the exposed assets of the insurance company in the region. So finding out really what the insurance companies are already doing and where it's falling short. A vulnerability model, so to assess the damage caused by these different assets in the case of a wildfire, and a risk transfer cost estimation model, which computes the price paid by insurance companies to transfer risk for a portfolio of risky assets. So it's essentially helping insurance companies actually quantify wildfire risk in reasonable terms that aren't taking, data from 20 years ago that doesn't really work for today. And the deliverable, as I said, it's going to be a working model that identifies solutions and kind of identifies the costs of these things. So does anybody have any questions about this one? Okay, cool. Our next is plant paper. This one is probably our most straightforward project. This is a comparative life cycle assessment between plant paper, which is a unbleached toilet paper. It is actually a tree-free toilet paper, so there's no trees at all. It's made of bamboo, and they are trying to figure out where in their supply chain needs to be changed. So actually, one of the owners of this company, she was a part of the SUMA program many years ago. So she has a base knowledge of sustainability. She has a base knowledge of life cycle assessment. But now that the company has expanded, they've figured out what the best raw materials are for sustainable impact. But now they're having issues with transportation and manufacturing and packaging because they're getting bamboo from Asia and they're having to put it on a slow boat to the United States where their manufacturing is. And they're realizing that that doesn't really make sense. So they're looking to find new places to source their product or maybe see, does that even make sense? Because sometimes the slow boat is a better impact than a train or a truck. So they really want to just like deeply analyze it with a deep LCA and figure out how they can or really just streamline their supply chain. And this deliverable would be, they want a longer form report showing the results of the life cycle assessment and recommendations. And this is kind of like an internal report for the organization, but they're also looking for a shorter form white paper that they would be able to use for investments when they're looking to find new packaging companies and things like that. And then the final thing that they're looking for is an index of relevant statistics and factoids that they can use when creating content. So whenever we do an LCA in SUMANET Impact, we usually put a marketing person on each team to be able to translate that information into something that's easily digestible for the consumer, for an Instagram page, for a website, things like that. Any questions about the life cycle assessment? So Zero Waste Daniel, this one we are really excited about. There's been a ton of momentum in the SUMA program around sustainable fashion. There's a new course that just started in the fall. So I assume that we have a lot of students who are really excited about getting into actually like a real sustainable fashion project. Zero Waste Daniel is they are a zero waste lifestyle pioneer who use pre-consumer waste. So they take actually scraps from other fashion designers, sourced from New York City's garment industry, as well as other hard to recycle materials. So they'll take like little metals that they find, anything that looks cute that they could put on a garment. They'll take these hard to recycle items and make beautiful fashion out of them. They are genderless clothing, which I think is very awesome. And they send nothing to landfills. So these clothes are very high fashion. When you look at them on the website, they're expensive. They're very vogue. And it's really exciting that they're able to do this process that is super new to the industry. They're getting a ton of press recognition because of their process. And they've been able to do all of this without any kind of like paid ads or any kind of like Instagram ways around getting more followers. They haven't done anything that they didn't feel was organic. That's kind of the word that they use, the organic growth. So what they really want us to do is kind of do an audit of their process of growth and their process of getting all of this media attention for their innovative ideas, and figure out if they did it the best way possible, or if there's ways that they can grow better, because they want it to be within their own brand, but they want to figure out how they can leverage their own brand and develop some deeper skills in their social media and website. So they mention that they're not computer engineers, they're not, website developers. So we are really looking for people who have a strong tech background, website development, any of that, marketing, to help with this social media audit, website communications audit, and optimization of how the website can lead to better searches and more purchases. So the deliverable would be a detailed report that has all of that stuff that I just said, and then a shorter report that they would be able to present to potential investors to apply for grants, and present to some possible, they're looking for a marketing specialist to hire. So this is another white paper to show to potential investors, essentially. They also want a layman's terms step-by-step guide that is essentially how to grow Zero Waste Daniel's digital presence and increase online sales through organic reach and optimization for dummies. That's from their words. That's what they want. So yeah, they're really just looking to see, we're in this pandemic, how do I optimize my online presence? Any questions about that? Cool. I believe this is the last one. This is Zooterra. This is exciting because when I went to do some research on this before doing all these presentations the last few weeks, I realized that this platform actually hasn't launched yet. So the SUMANI Impact team that gets to be a part of this is actually helping with the launch of this organization. We're actually really necessary for them to get going. So I thought that was exciting. It's a data intelligence platform. So it's supposed to be kind of like a one-stop shop where you can find like a comparison between products so that organizations can make smart sustainability choices when they buy things for their supply chain. And what they need is a ton of data to be able to do this. So they need all of the ESG data to be able to make these comparisons. So there's an initial market landscape to find out what already exists in terms of environmental data, how people are buying it, what it costs. In their overview of why they want to do this, it's stated that basically when an organization is looking to make sustainable choices, they have to hire expensive consultants to help them make that choice. They have to buy a lot of data, buy a lot of articles to be able to kind of do this. And that's a lot of time, that's a lot of manpower. So they want to kind of create like a place where you just log onto the internet, it tells you. It's like a tracker, but they need all of the data. So what they need from us is a database with all of the relevant companies and all data parameters, a Word document describing the landscape and the recommended positioning in the environmental front, pricing levels, and the opportunity and recommendation around adding S&G data components. So right now we know that we want to add environmental data, but they're also looking into the full ESG, so social and governmental data as well. They want to analyze, is it worth it? And from our education, we know it probably is worth it, but you'll figure that out within the project. And then they want a slide deck showing kind of the market landscape results that they can work this into their development. So the goal of this project is to help refine their go-to market and positioning around environmental data and inform whether S&G should be in our development roadmap. So any questions about that?
I have a question, Rose. So when they are asking us for retrieving data, does that mean that we're looking it for ourselves, or they're giving us a platform where all the data is right there and we're just, researching for them, organizing the data for them, or?
So definitely the first one. We're actually creating the database for them to be able to do that. So the idea is that we have the connections within Columbia to find all of the databases that are important.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Or relevant, that's a better word than important. So that is all of our projects. Here is a little timeline to get us a little bit acquainted with how the semester will go. So right now we are in student team recruitment for the next week. Next Friday, I believe it is, the 22nd, our project applications are due. We will be reviewing those over the weekend. We'll let you know on Monday. And then that Thursday, we have our first kickoff event where you'll get to meet your team, meet your project manager, get to know everybody. We'll review the projects again. We'll get you guys your scope documents and have an opportunity to ask any questions and really get to know your project manager. After that, we have a couple events during our skill building week. We're doing a social co-working event to work on the work plans together so that everybody can kind of have like a moment of normalcy, a little bit of a social event, but also just to help each other out. And then for skill building week this year or this semester, we are having Fiona Lee come back to do the project management workshop. She is a PMP, so she went through the entire process of getting like certified as a professional project manager. She has 10 years under her belt and she's really, really kind and wonderful. And her presentation last semester I thought was really great. So she's going to come back and help us with that. And we are going to have another consulting 101 workshop for anybody who is brand new to consulting. After that, you can expect that each team will have a personalized workshop. So that's something that the board and the project manager kind of work together to decide what the team is lacking in terms of experience or skill. And then we find professors, professionals, and anybody within our network who can help us with that. So for example, for plant paper with the LCA, we will have Christoph Meinrichsen, the LCA professor. He offers us these 1-hour Q&A sessions for free, which is really, really nice because he's a very, very busy man. And what he does is you come in with a set of questions. We ask you to be really, really prepared. And for 1 hour, you can just talk back and forth with him. And he is like an encyclopedia when it comes to LCAs. And he can help you point you in the right direction for all of the data that you might need and also let you know if any of the math is a little bit funky. So that's an example, but we do that for every team. We find a professor or a professional who has experience. Then we have our midterm, which is scheduled for March 18th. After the midterm, we do personalized workshop too, another one if you want it. Sometimes the teams don't feel that they need it, or it could be something more creative. It doesn't necessarily have to be a workshop. Maybe it's just like meeting with the TA to check something. We do a consulting panel, which is really exciting. Liz is going to be the head organizer for the consulting panel this year. She has some really, really great ideas. We're going to make some announcements about that in the next month or so. And then this year we're doing our SUMA-wide Day of Giving Back later in the semester for, temperature, and hopefully some of us will be able to get vaccines before that happens. We haven't decided who we're going to work with yet this year, but it will probably be another environmental justice organization in New York City. And we have our final presentation scheduled for April 15th. That is like the second to last week of school. And then by the end of the semester, it's expected that you get your final deliverable to us, the board, and your client. So that's kind of like the brief rundown of what to expect for the full semester.
Nothing for me. No, nothing for me at this point.
Okay, cool. So this is our application. Kat, I'll ask if you could drop that in the chat to be a part of our projects this semester. It's not a hard application. It's not particularly long. We ask you just a couple qualitative questions about your experience and your personality, your work style, and then we ask you for a resume and a headshot. We don't usually ask you guys for a headshot. That's more now because we're in Zoom. So like it's easier for us to pick the teams using like a Miro board with everybody's headshot. That's the only reason that we ask you for that. Okay, so that is...
Sorry, when was the deadline?
Oh, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. This was recycled from the fall.
No, no worries. But I just can't remember what you said of the deadline.
Yeah, so the deadline is January 22nd. It's next.
Okay.
Yeah, so totally ignore that. I'm gonna get off this slide before anybody like writes that down. So these are all of our social media accounts. I will say, if you want to know what's going on, follow our Instagram. That is where we have the most comprehensive information. We try to share things to the story almost daily with anything that's like coming up. So you'll be able to find all of our Eventbrite links, all of the Zoom links in our link in bio, any of our blog posts, anything that's going on, any event, you can find it on the Instagram. That's the easiest one-stop shop. But we also do try to post relevant stuff on LinkedIn and Facebook. We're not as active on Twitter, but yeah, you can always email us at sumanetimpact.org. Always follow the Instagram. Send us a DM if you have any questions. We're always willing to answer that. And that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for attending. I'm really excited by how many people were able to come to this. And we can stick around for any questions that you guys have.
Hi, Rose. I have a question. It's Daniela.
Hi, Daniela.
You there was like basic information in the slides, but you like add more information while you were speaking. So would you be able to share that information with us to actually understand all the projects and see that in detail?
Because of like confidentiality, I can't send you the official scope documents until you're within the team. So some of the information that I told you was kind of a like I was just kind of consolidating what I was reading from these documents that we have. But in order to actually see the document, we do ask people to sign an NDA before they start the project.
Okay, I get it. Since this is the meeting is recorded, do we have access to this?
Yes.
Because when you explained the project about risk management, I have a friend that is in the master program of risk management, and I think that he could be interested in that. So that would be nice. And for me, I was curious about the project about impact investing firm you mentioned before. So yes, just want to check that, like double check that before applying. Thank you.
So what I will say is the recording is going to be put on our website. I'm going to work on that today for this event. I probably won't post the Wednesday one too. I'll probably just post this one. And that will be available via the Instagram link in bio and on our website. So you'll be able to view this again. The other thing is that if anybody has like a specific question about a project, you can always either DM us on Instagram, send an email to us. I answer all of the SUMANETimpact.org email, and then you can also email me directly. I'll put my email in really quick. And I would be more than happy to talk through any of it with you. I just can't, I'm not allowed to actually share.
Yeah, don't worry. Thank you.
Of course, I did that to someone directly.
I had a question as well. Hi, Sophie. I was just wondering, when you talk about final presentations, are they like presentations that we do with the client in front of a range of students, or like how does it sort of happen?
That's a really great question. So some of the projects ask the team to present to the client, but some of them don't. Some of them it's just like a report or something else that they want for them, an Excel sheet. The presentations are internal, so that's for the club. So my favorite thing about the presentations is for like the midterm presentation, it's for the club. It's a 10-minute presentation with a 5-minute Q&A. And what it allows us to do is do a little bit of skill sharing. So if the team sees something that isn't working, or they feel like the communication is struggling, they're not finding this piece of data that they need, the midterm presentation is really something where you talk about your challenges. We don't want to just see you like talk about what's going well. We want to see the challenges, because you'll have a community of 30 to 40 sustainability students who might have the answer that you're looking for. So it's really internal to help you create the best final deliverable possible. And then the final presentation is really just for the club as like a celebration. This is what we did. Let's share how great the deliverable is, and talk about the process and how it could be better for next semester.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a question. So how likely would you say it is to get your number one preferred project, or does it really just depend on your skill set?
That's a really good question too. So what typically tends to happen is that there are a number of projects that are like the star project of the semester that there's a lot of interest in. And the way that we go about selection is we take everybody's first preference into account and we sort everyone into their first preference. But then, like, for example, last semester it was ING. That was the project that everybody wanted to be an ING. So there was like literally 35 people that had ING as their first choice. So what we do is we take everyone's first choice and we select the best people out of the first choice for each project. Some years we actually don't even have to go into second choice because it's an equal distribution, but it really is just about like the demand of the students. But your preferences is our number one criteria for selection. It isn't until we realize, not enough people put this project as number one that we start moving them around, or if we see that the people that put it as number one don't have the skill set that the client actually requested, then we'll go into second choice. But the choice is really like the number one, because we want you guys to be passionate. We know it's pro bono, so you're not really getting anything out of it. You're not getting paid or class credit. So we want it to be something that's fun and enjoyable for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question too. So I was actually involved in SUMANI last semester and it was like an amazing experience, really fun. But I'm just wondering, because I know so many people were interested last semester, if there's potentially a downside to already having had the experience and maybe there's preference towards people who haven't had the opportunity yet.
Yeah, that's a good question. Last semester was really unique in the amount of applications that we received. I think that is just because of like the state of the world. People were looking for a social opportunity. We actually added an extra client last semester and this semester to account for that. But what I will say across the board, we do not do any kind of preference for friends, preference for people who are new, preference for people who like none of that. It really is, we look at everybody's first choice and we see who is the most qualified out of those first choices, and then we move on to second choice. So if you've done a project before, but you're perfectly qualified for one this semester, we're not even going to consider the fact that you've done it already.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, is there any other final questions? All right, well, I see that Kat put all of the applications below. Let me just look through this, make sure there's nothing. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming, and I really hope to see all of your applications over the next 2 weeks. Have a great first day of school.
Thank you.
Thank you.